2015, a 20-year-old university student thought he had cracked the formula for stardom. So he walked up on stage bare-chested to channel his inner Fela Kuti to a crowd of over 5,000 students. But instead of cheering, the crowd booed him so aggressively that he had to hide behind a speaker until fellow artist Blaqbonez rescued him from the stage. Fast forward to 2023, that same artist, now known as Asake, performed to over 20,000 die-hard fans at the O2 Arena stage in London. This is the story of how Asake went from squatting in friends' houses to becoming one of Afrobeats' biggest exports. You see, Asake was not probably supposed to become a superstar, and that's because his path to music started in the most unconventional way possible. Growing up, Asake was a dancer before he ever touched a microphone, and he was apparently good enough to make decent money from it, but he quickly realized that musicians were making twice as much as dancers for half the work. That cold calculation pushed him to switch lanes, and he brought that dancer's understanding of rhythm and crowd energy into his music, which would later become one of his biggest advantages when crafting songs designed to move bodies rather than just play in headphones. He studied theatre and dramatic arts at Obafemi Awolowo University, which might sound like an odd choice for someone who wanted to be a music star, but it gave him access to live performance opportunities that most aspiring artists never get. University shows became his testing ground, and while that first Fela-inspired performance in 2015 ended in disaster, he kept showing up and kept performing alongside friends like Blaqbonez, Fireboy DML, Chinko Ikun, and Ahima Lee, all of whom were also trying to break through at the same time. Asake released a song called Yoha in January 2015 under the stage name Medu, and it gained some traction on campus because it came with its own dance steps, which made it spread faster than songs without a visual component. He understood early that music in Nigerian culture is participatory, not passive, and that insight would shape everything he created later. After graduating in the mid-2010s, Asake faced the brutal reality that university fame does not translate to mainstream success, and the years that followed were defined by struggle in ways that would have broken most people. He squatted with friends because he could not afford his own place, bouncing between anyone willing to host him while he chased a dream that seemed further away every day. He worked as a backup singer for comedian Broda Shaggy, appeared in low-budget skits, and tried everything to stay close to the industry while waiting for his break, and during this period, he was begging Olamide to sign him to YBNL Records because he had watched Olamide turn artists like Fireboy DML, Lil Kesh, and Adekunle Gold into stars. For 2 years, Asake sent messages, showed up at places where Olamide might be, and made it clear that he wanted that YBNL cosign more than anything. However, Olamide did not respond until the moment was right. In 2020, Asake released Mr. Money, which became a club anthem in Lagos and Port Harcourt, giving him his first taste of mainstream attention and proving that his sound could connect beyond university campuses. He followed it with a remix featuring Peruzzi and Zlatan Ibole, which pushed him onto Apple Music's Top 100 Nigeria chart for the first time, but that success was still localized and did not translate into the kind of national dominance he was aiming for. Then came February 2022, the moment everything changed, when Olamide finally texted him out of the blue and asked a simple question: "Would you like to join YBNL?" Asake said he told Olamide to sign him immediately without a lawyer because he had been waiting for that moment for years, and within weeks of signing, he released the Alolade EP featuring Omo Ope with Olamide and Sungba, both of which exploded across Nigeria and started a chain reaction that would redefine Afrobeats in 2022. Now here is where the sound becomes critical, because Asake did not succeed by copying what was already working in Afrobeats. He succeeded by filling a gap that nobody else was occupying at that exact moment. In 2022, the Nigerian music industry was saturated with smooth vocalists delivering polished melodies over standard Afrobeats production, and while that sound was successful internationally, it left room for something rawer, louder, and more chaotic to break through. Asake filled that gap by fusing Fuji music, a percussion-heavy Yoruba genre rooted in Islamic chanting and street festivals, with Amapiano, the South African genre built on log drums, piano chords, and infectious bounce, creating a hybrid sound that felt both ancient and contemporary at the same time. His music incorporated the rhythmic bounce of Fuji music influenced by legends like K. Wonder Ultimate and Iand Barrister, evoking nostalgia for indigenous sounds while remaining fresh enough to attract listeners who had never encountered these genres before. And that balance between tradition and modernity became his signature. What made Asake's sound even more distinctive was his vocal delivery, which prioritized raw, percussive energy over technical polish. And this was a deliberate choice that separated him from every other artist competing for attention. He does not sing with the smooth, melodic precision of artists like Wizkid or Burna Boy. Instead, he chants, shouts, and punctuates his lyrics with rhythmic urgency that mirrors the percussive nature of Fuji music, and this approach creates a texture that feels unfiltered and emotionally direct rather than produced for radio airplay. His vocals sit aggressively in the mix, pushed forward rather than smoothed out, and this rawness makes his songs feel like live performances even when you are listening through headphones, which is why tracks like Sangba and Omo Ope hit harder in contexts where energy matters more than vocal precision. The imperfection became the signature, and once audiences associated that vocal texture with Asake's name, every new release felt familiar before they even heard the lyrics, which is exactly how sonic branding works in modern music. The structure of his songs is engineered for crowds, festivals, and call and response moments, rather than headphone listening, and this strategic focus on communal consumption gave his music outsized cultural reach beyond streaming numbers. Listen to Omo Ope or Terminator, and notice how the hooks are built for thousands of people to scream back at the stage. The repetition, the simplicity of the phrasing, and the spaces left for audience participation are all deliberate design choices that prioritize collective experience over individual enjoyment. This is why his songs dominate Nigerian club culture, wedding receptions, and street parties, because they are functional music designed to make crowds move, and functional music scales faster than introspective ballads because it serves a social purpose beyond entertainment. Leaning heavily into Yoruba language and local cadence made his sound more global rather than less, which contradicts the conventional wisdom that English language lyrics are necessary for international success. Asake primarily sings in Pidgin and Yoruba, and this linguistic choice shifts listener focus from lyrics to rhythm and energy, which are universal elements that transcend language barriers. When audiences cannot understand the words, they latch onto the beat, the melody, and the emotional tone. And Asake's music delivers all three with such intensity that comprehension becomes irrelevant. You do not need to speak Yoruba to feel the energy of Sangba or understand that "Peace be unto you" carries spiritual weight. This dynamic also creates cultural authenticity that resonates with African diaspora audiences who may not speak Yoruba fluently but recognize the sounds and cadences from their own cultural backgrounds. And it positions Asake as unapologetically rooted in his identity rather than code-switching for Western markets. His debut album, Mr. Money with the Vibe, released in September 2022, became the highest-charting debut album by an African artist on Apple Music at the time, with all 12 songs occupying the first 12 spots on Apple Music's Top 100 Nigeria charts simultaneously, which is unheard of. The album peaked at number 2 on Billboard's World Album chart and debuted at number 66 on the Billboard 200, proving that his sound could translate beyond Nigeria into international markets where Afrobeats was experiencing its biggest moment. By December 2022, Audiomack crowned him Artist of the Year, after the album amassed over 330 million streams, and he sold out 3 consecutive nights at the O2 Academy Brixton in London during his first UK tour, which demonstrated that his fan base extended far beyond Africa. In 2023, Asake became the first African artist to headline and sell out the Barclays Center in New York City, and he followed that by selling out the O2 Arena in London, where he made that unforgettable helicopter entrance that broke the internet. His second album, Work of Art, debuted at number 66 on the Billboard 200 with 13,000 units sold during its debut week, matching the chart position of his debut and proving that his success was not a fluke but a sustainable trajectory built on a sound that audiences could not get enough of. By 2024, his third album, Lungu Boy, became his third consecutive #1 album in Nigeria and the longest-running #1 in Nigerian chart history, cementing his status as one of Afrobeats' most dominant forces. In February 2025, Asake made another power move by leaving Ibnal Records and launching his own independent label, Giron Republic, while securing a distribution deal with Gamma, the Los Angeles-based entertainment company that works with artists like Usher, Rick Ross, and Snoop Dogg. Olamide granted him the masters to all his songs recorded under YBNL, a rare gesture that showed mutual respect between the two. And Asake's decision to go independent placed him in full control of his brand and creative direction. This move positioned him not just as an artist, but as a global entrepreneur reshaping Afrobeats' place on the world stage. And it marked the beginning of a new chapter, where Asake operates on his own terms without the creative or business constraints of a traditional label structure. Asake's rise from that humiliating 2015 performance to global stardom in less than a decade is a case study in sound design, cultural confidence, and timing, and it proves that viral success is not random when you understand what audiences want before they know they want it. He fused traditional Fuji energy with modern amapiano rhythms, embraced vocal imperfection as a signature rather than a flaw, built songs for crowds rather than playlists, leaned into his Yoruba identity instead of diluting it for international markets, and released music relentlessly until his sound became impossible to ignore. His success filled a gap in Afrobeats at the exact moment when the genre was experiencing its biggest global expansion, and his timing could not have been better because the world was ready for something louder, rawer, and more culturally rooted than the polished Afrobeats that had dominated the previous era. The story of Asake is not about luck or going viral by accident. It is about understanding sound, building a brand around cultural authenticity, and refusing to quit even when the world tells you that you are not good enough. From hiding behind a speaker at a university show to descending from a helicopter at the O2 Arena, Asake's journey is proof that sometimes the people who get booed the loudest become the ones the world cannot stop screaming for.